walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Hello to you all. You're watching RHTVLive.
This is Mr. Romney Wordsworth. In his last 48 hours on Earth, he's a citizen of the state, but will soon have to be eliminated. Because he is built out of flesh, and because he has a mind.
You've been under investigation, Mr. Wordsworth, for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You're found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in the matter and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth? Your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth?
A librarian.
A librarian. Having to do with books.
Yes, sir. Books.
Since there are no more books, Mr. Wordsworth, there are no more libraries. The field investigators in your sector have classified you as obsolete. Your rights are as follows, Mr. Wordsworth. You are to be liquidated within a period of 48 hours. You are obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
A lie. No man is obsolete.
You have no function, Mr. Wordsworth. You're an anachronism, like a ghost from another time.
I am nothing more than a reminder to you that you cannot destroy truth by burning pages.
You're a bug, Mr. Wordsworth, a crawling insect, an ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions that you inject into your veins with printer's ink. The narcotics that you call literature, poetry, essays, all of it an opiate. You have nothing but spindly limbs and a dream, and the state has no use for your kind.
I don't care. I tell you, I don't care. I'm a human being. I exist. And if I speak one thought aloud, that thought lives, even after I'm shoveled into my grave.
The Chancellor, the late Chancellor, was only partly correct. He was obsolete. But so is the state, the entity he worshipped. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete.
Yes, people. We are living in the Twilight Zone. Look at the obsolete man. It's a pretty good episode of the Twilight Zone. Now, why do I always play this? People ask me, why do I always play the obsolete man? Well, that's a good introduction, first of all. But second, there's also a bigger message to that. Because over here in the Netherlands, right, the farmers are being obsolete. So the farmers are protesting. The government says there is too much nitrogen in the atmosphere, right? And they say that the farmers produce this nitrogen. Now, the bigger goal is to get rid of the farmers and have more land to develop housing and stuff like that. So let's take a look at this here. This was yesterday. You could also see it at Frankie C3T4S. We were live during the demonstrations. Well, actually after the demonstrations, and we showed a lot of images, but still, you can see it on RHTVLive. Oh.
Nou, daar gaan we. mannen van Griezels die leiden de hele kolonne. En daarachter staat ook nog heel veel. Dus ze vertrekken nou hier vanuit Duiven. En dan komt er zometeen in Arnhem. Er komt er ook nog weer een hele groep bij.
They're leaving from Duiven. Now, where is Duiven? We'll search it on the map. Here we have Maastricht, where we are broadcasting from. And Duiven. Duiven. There. Let's take a look. Here we have Duiven. Yeah. And let's take a look at where it is. It's near Arnhem. Yeah. Which is also a very big city in our beautiful country, the Netherlands. So the farmers went protesting, and I couldn't be there at the protest. You know, I had other stuff to do. So, and for the people who want to understand some of the Dutch politics, we'll take a look at the list of political parties in the Netherlands. There are quite a lot. You know, we have the VVD, the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy. All right. These are the cartel groups. D66, Democrat 66, CDA, Christian Democratic Appeal, PVV, Party for Freedom, PvdA, Labour Party, GroenLinks, SP, Ja21, PVDD, Party for the Animal, SP is the Socialist Party, Ja21 is Right Answer 2021. You have the CU, the Christian Union. You have the FVD, Forum for Democracy, SGP, Reformed Political Party, DENK, BVNL, Volt, 50 plus, right? Go, BBB, Farmer Citizen Movement, Bijeen, and OPNL, Independent Political Netherlands. So there you have it. And we also have MDD, Direct Democracy Party, more direct democracy. And these are parties without representation in the States General. And there are also a lot of other parties you can choose from. So there you go, right? And this is basically the political parties we can choose from, right? Forum for Democracy. Now, BBB, which is a farmers political party, right? They had a very innovative speech about being a farmer. Can I be a farmer in the future, right? That's what Caroline van der Plas asks of the BBB. And she was at the demonstration, which I already showed, right? The farmers. She was at the demonstration at a familial house, right? And that's been in the family for generations. They've been there since the 1300s, right? And Caroline van der Plas is going to give us, in Dutch we say, betoog. Yeah, she's going to give us her opinion on what's happening in the Netherlands.
Voorzitter, beste burgers en vooral de in gruwelijke onzekerheid verkerende boeren van Nederland. Deze week kwam een 15-jarige boerenzoon naar me toe. Hij vroeg mevrouw van der Plas mag ik later nog boer worden? Ik zei tegen hem, lieve jongen, dat weet ik niet. Er zal altijd een toekomst zijn voor boeren, maar waar en hoe, ik kan het je niet vertellen.
So she says, a kid asked her, can I be a farmer later in the future? And she says, I don't know. I'm speechless. I don't know. So she can't tell what the future is.
Maar weet wel dat ik voor je zal strijden. Voorzitter, voor velen in de zaal gaat dit debat over rare vlekkenkaartjes, cijfertjes, modellen, berekeningen. Fout op fout wordt gemaakt en dat wordt afgedaan als een foutje op de kaart, een foute inschatting, een foute vergelijking. Maar voor mij gaat dit debat vooral over mensen. Over de mensen die ons voedsel maken. Over mensen op het platteland die hun boeren steeds verdrietiger, wanhopiger en onzekerder zien worden. Want boeren laat je niks wijsmaken. Het grootste deel van Nederland, en zeker de mensen in de dorpen, staan vierkant achter jullie. En ook de mensen in de Randstad. Voorzitter, en dat zagen we gisteren ook in Stroe, waar ook vele burgers waren, met z'n 60.000.
60,000 people were in Stroe. Now let's see where Stroe is. It's also in the province of Gelderland. Stroe. There we have Stroe. Right. This odd space here. So and it's not far from Voorthuizen and Apeldoorn and Amersfoort, and there are many other cities like Barneveld. So that's where the farmers were. That's where Caroline was, at a farmer's family.
Op het grootste boerenprotest in de Nederlandse geschiedenis. Op het weiland van boer Gert-Jan, zijn vrouw Marja en hun 5 kinderen. Op het land waar nota bene al sinds 1300 wordt geboerd. En de familie nu ineens te horen krijgt dat ze weg moeten omdat de natuur bedreigd zou worden. Nou voorzitter, wie er echt bedreigd wordt, dat is de boer.
She said they have a property since the 1300s, right? So it's been in the family for all those generations, right? And now the government wants their land.
Boer Gert-Jan ook, die een aanbod kreeg van de overheid om uitgekocht te worden. Waarop hij zei, mijn stikstof mogen jullie hebben, maar mijn grond krijgen jullie niet.
You can have my nitrogen, but you cannot have my ground. That's what the farmer said, where all the farmers went to, you know? So, and I already got questions, why am I doing this in English whilst it's also in Dutch? That's to explain the international audience on what's happening in our beautiful country, the Netherlands.
Waarop werd gezegd, uw stikstof hoeven wij niet, wij willen uw grond.
We don't want your nitrogen, we want your ground. You know, the government came towards him and said, we want your ground. We don't want your nitrogen, we want your ground. So this is what's happening in the Netherlands. And our cabinet is so criminal that they say, okay, you know, we have an accord here. We have to reduce all these farmers, you know, and it's very, very sad. Very, very sad.
Boer Gert-Jan, die toen ik bij hem op de boerderij kwam, omdat ik daar mocht slapen op de avond voor het protest, gelijk begon te huilen toen ik uit de auto stapte. Huilen.
So this Gert-Jan, the farmer, he's a very big guy, you know, a big teddy bear kind of guy, you know, and he wept when he saw Caroline.
Grote, stoere beer van een vent. Hij brak voor mijn neus. Daar gaat het om, voorzitter. Daar gaat het om. Boeren die weg moeten omdat ze de grond willen hebben. Grond wat soms al honderden jaren in de familie zit. En dan horen ze een minister lollig zeggen, we gaan een woest aantrekkelijke regeling geven. Of een stikstofprofessor die zegt, ze moeten door de zure appel heen bijten. De gevoelloosheid van dit kabinet en de mensen eromheen is ronduit stuitend.
So it's very sad. This is what she describes as the minister says, we're going to buy them out. You know, haha, we're going to buy them out. Yeah. We're going to give them a good price. We're going to buy them out. You know, land that's been in the hands of a family for generations. And our government wants that land. And it's a very sad fact to see. Because,
en dan die brief met die rare vlekkenkaartjes, waar heel Nederland geen biet van snapt. Waar Vlieland stikstof moet reduceren, terwijl er helemaal geen intensieve veehouderij is. In West-Vlaanderen.
If you look at Zimbabwe, for example, right? Let's bring that. Zimbabwe. Now, you have $100 trillion. And with $100 trillion, you could buy a loaf of bread. Yep. So you need more than $100 trillion to basically live in Zimbabwe. Now, how did this happen, right? How did this hyperinflation happen? Now, what happened is they reduced the farmers in Zimbabwe, right? Because in Zimbabwe, we'll bring a map. In Zimbabwe, you had a white farmer, right? Colonizers. That's how they see it. And the white farmer had the tractor and all these machineries and all that. And in Zimbabwe, they said they are stealing our jobs. So they need to go. And eventually they went. And the people had no idea how to handle all these tractors and all these machinery left behind, right? So big food crisis in Zimbabwe. Now what happens? Zimbabwe needs food, right? So they ask Botswana and Mozambique and Zambia and Malawi and all these other countries for food. Now, when you have an own currency, even if it is pegged under $1, right? When you have an own currency, you also have to have precious metal behind that currency, you know, an underlying currency. Otherwise, the currency is worth nothing. Now, the underlying currency of Zimbabwe was their food. Now, this is how hyperinflation works, right? So, this is just one of the things, of the whole mechanism that happens when a country fails, right? Food shortages and stuff like that. So it's a very sad thing to see that our politicians say, we don't want any farmers anymore. Nope, we don't want any farmers. Go away. And you're talking about land that's been in the hands of a family since the 1300s. This is what's happening, people. You know? So yeah, hyperinflation, that's because they don't have any food anymore. That's one of the reasons why. Okay? So you also have spending of government. You know, government needs more money, so they inflate the currency. You know, they create more money, inflating the currency. So this is what's happening, and this is also what's happening in, for example, the U.S. Right? When President Trump was president, he said, we have enough oil. We have enough oil to support ourselves for hundreds of years. You know? So he made a pipeline from Alaska. Well, he didn't make it, but he finished it basically. You know, the pipeline was in the pipeline for years, ever since the Bush era, right? But it was never finished. Now, Trump finished that pipeline, which now America had their own oil. They're not, you know, they don't need export and stuff like that. Now, Biden had said, we're going to scrap everything that Trump did, right? We're going to scrap the wall. We're going to scrap this. We're going to scrap that. All these bilateral deals that Trump had made, right? We're going to scrap them. We're going to throw them in the trash, and we're going to make certain that people who support Trump, that they go into jail. You know, look at January 6th, right? They're still talking about that. So this is what's happening. This is the deep state taking over the Patriot group that basically had hands in Washington, and the deep state, you know, kicked them out basically. Now let's hope that in November things are going to change. You know, because things need to change. The swamp needs to be drained, right? And the same goes for the Netherlands. We need to change. We don't need a cabinet that has waged war basically on the population. You know, we don't need that. So I got a message again. Let's see what this message is. Oops, wrong app. So many apps now. Okay, cool. I'll respond to that later. So people need to know what's going on, right? People need to know that the crisis is constant. We are in a constant crisis, you know. I also posted a video about that. This is also very interesting, right? This guy here, he pays with coins from the Royal Mint, which the Queen says that is money. You can pay with that. But gas stations and other facilities, they don't want these coins. Now this guy goes to the Royal Mint and he needs to pay for entry, and he gives the coins. So we're going to take a look at this first.
Day went all the way over to Wales to go to the Royal Mint. They've got a Royal Mint experience there, so it's quite expensive to get in. It's £17.11 just to have a look at them debasing the coins. into steel. We had quite a good little tour. Found it quite interesting. I asked the question, what are you going to do then when we go cashless and we're not making coins anymore? You'll be out of work, won't you? I said to the chap who was doing the tour. And he said, oh, we'll just concentrate on making coins for other countries. So anyway, to get in, £17.11. Thought it'd be interesting to see if they accept their own money. So I went to the lady, offered her the coin, and this is what happened. Hiya. I'd like to go on tour to the top, please.
Yeah. You've got availability. How many do you want?
Just me.
One adult, yeah?
Yep.
I'm going to strike any coins on the tour today for £6.90 is the Jubilee.
I don't know yet, so can I do it later or do I have to book
You
now?
have to pay for it and you can do on the tour. I wouldn't be able to give you the coin until you pay for it, basically.
Oh, what? So I can stamp the coin, but then I'll have to pay for it afterwards. That'll be alright, I'll check it out later.
£17.11 for the tour ticket.
Yeah. Do you'll take cash, don't you?
You should anything, cash or card, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I don't think I'd be allowed to see.
We'll see, won't we?
Where do you travel from?
There you go.
This?
What do you mean, what's this? You made it.
Oh, wait. I can't take this, though.
I thought you said that you were going to say no.
I can't take
You see that? You see that? They're debasing the currency by making new currency, which is legal tender. You can pay with that. You know, the Queen had signed for this currency, this coin, to be legal tender. Right? Now you go to the mint, which makes these coins, and the mint doesn't accept these coins. Isn't that amazing, right? Debasing the currency. So that's what's happening there. Let's see what else we got here. I wanted to show you guys something, but kind of forgot. Here we have the data help desk, right? And these are the trolls that always constantly go to RHTVLive and try to bug me, but I just joke around with them, you know. And they think that I'm very angry at them and stuff like that. You know, it's amazing. Here, I wanted to show you guys. Wait. Maybe I got to scroll up. Yeah, here it is. Constant fear, right? Constant fear. So, wait. There. Pause it. Scroll back. Put on sound. And then play.
Rig the economic system so that most people are struggling just to pay their rent. So they're afraid constantly economically. They're eating bad food. They're breathing bad air. They're afraid of wars that are encroaching on their people. And that's part of the scheme, is relentless cycle of fear. It's really a kind of torture. And they have studied this. The would-be controllers have studied this through their concentration camps, through their MK Ultra mind control programs and so forth. They studied how to take over control of a single person's mind, and they learned enough about how to do that they're now trying to use those same strategies on all of humanity. And that's what we need to realize so that we can stand up for ourselves. We can no to authority, and we can reclaim the aliveness, the sense of intimacy, of love, of connection, and as your team says, of natural creativity that really is our birthright. But then over 95% of humanity turns right around and turns over their power to their government. And a government would not exist except for taking your money against your will, which is the violation of the non-aggression principle. And that's why every government throughout history has been corrupt. It's not just because there are a few bad apples, but it's because government, the very notion of a few people seizing authoritarian rule over others, is corrupt at its core. It starts by stealing your money.
And not only that, but it also starts with friendly politics, right? Look at the cabinet of Trudeau, right? I posted that too somewhere. Let's see if we can find that. They're all friends of each other, you know? They all went to his wedding, basically. And here we have a German journalist, right? Living in the east of Ukraine now, in Netsk. I believe that's the east of Ukraine, right? Netsk. So she's there, and I believe it's the Donetsk, something like that. But she's over there and trying to report on what's happening, and she got a fine from the German government, right, for reporting on what's happening in the Donetsk, right? So we're going to take a look at this here.
In Donetsk, I'm living here for half a year now, telling Germans what is going on in the Donbas region and in Ukraine. And for that, the German authorities now started to persecute me. They first they deleted my material in the internet, then they blocked my bank account, blocked the bank account of my father, and yesterday I got this letter from German authorities that they opened now a criminal case against me. So these are the documents, and for Germans the support of the special operation of Russia in Ukraine is already a criminal act, for which you can obviously get 3 years in prison. In their letter they are writing that at the 24th of February I published a post on Telegram saying that the denazification began and that the people of the Donbas region support Russia in their decision to start this special operation. And I was also saying that Ukrainians were killing the people here in Donbas already for several years. Also, they are writing that on the 12th of March, I published a video in which I said that Ukraine is, doing a genocide in Donbas. What is interesting in the end of their letter, they are writing that they are not going to invite me to a hearing because this would disturb the investigations. That's very interesting. So they are persecuting me but don't want to hear me out. What is, by the way, also interesting that on this page there's a big Z on top, and Z is also already forbidden in Germany. It's a symbol for supporting the special operation of Russia, and for that you have to pay. What is?
Well, there you see it. All right, that's what's going on. And the truth must be silenced. We will always remember Julian Assange, right, for giving us what happened in Iraq. And it's very sad to see that he's still incarcerated, and he needs to be free. Free Julian Assange. Right? No, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just doing his journalistic thing. You know, he's going to face 175 years in prison. I don't know how that is going to take out, because you know, normally you die after 100 if you have an extensive life, you know. But Julian Assange does not have that. He is deprived of food and water and stuff like that. You know, it's amazing. This guy needs to be set free. He needs freedom. That's what he needs. Right? He didn't do anything wrong. He showed us what happened in Iraq.
For more than 2.5 years, the wire service Reuters has been trying to find out what happened to their 2 staff members on this street in the suburb of New Baghdad. WikiLeaks says this is what happened.
Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 1A, have 5 to 6 individuals with AK-47s. We got RPG. All right, we got a guy with
The voice on the tape, presumably a member of the military, says there has been shooting in the area and receives permission to open fire.
When people are labelled as insurgents, are they really insurgents? It seems to be the case that from the scenes in this video, that any person that is not a man, and sometimes not a woman, is by default labelled as an insurgent.
Light them all up. Come on, fire!
Very graphic imagery, I know. And these people had died, you know. Associated Press was wondering what happened to our journalist. Well, that happened. That happened, right? Journalists are being killed. They're being imprisoned. There are 4 journalists in Egypt that are incarcerated. 4 journalists in prison, Egypt. There you go. There you go. Why did Egypt jail Al Jazeera's journalists? Right, 4 journalists captured because, according to Egypt, they were spreading fake news. Right. So yeah, there you have it. And I do not agree with the government in Egypt. I do not agree with Sisi. He just took power after he imprisoned Morsi, which actually is a Muslim Brotherhood faction, political faction, you know, and they were voted upon, even though, you know, I don't agree with that, because, oh well, that's history, people, that's history. But 4 journalists are detained in Egypt, right? Now, what happened to Khashoggi? Who? Khashoggi. You remember that guy? Khashoggi. There. The murder of Jamal Khashoggi. What happened to him? Well, he went to Turkey, right? From Saudi Arabia, and he went to City Hall, basically, right, to get some papers for his future wife, you know, and he never left. Oh, he entered, but never left, and he was chopped into pieces. Right? Now, we're still wondering, is Riyadh involved in that? You know, is the royal family involved? Who knows? Who knows? Because Khashoggi, as far as I can research, he was against the line. The line? Huh? What? The line? Yeah, the line. And the line is the line, Saudi Arabia. There you go. It's a construction project, basically, that connects Saudi Arabia to Egypt, right? As you can see here, you have Saudi Arabia, and here you have Egypt. And the line is supposed to be from this odd point here, all the way land inwards, right? We're going to take a look at that here. The line, Saudi Arabia, there you go. Why is Saudi Arabia building within your city? What is the line? I'm not the only one reporting on this, you know. So you can look that up. We'll show you guys a few minutes of this here.
In January of this year, the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince announced an immense new development project that is supposed to set a blueprint for the future of his country and the world.
Now, as far as I know, Khashoggi was against the line, right? Against this connection. So that's the only thing I can connect to Khashoggi.
اليوم بصفتي رئيس مجلس إدارة نيوم نقدم لكم the line.
He announced that the kingdom will build a city that stretches along a single 100-mile long line. The linear city is part of a larger development project planned by the Saudi Arabian government. The economy of Saudi Arabia is heavily dependent on the oil industry, which historically has ensured growth and led to the country now being the 18th largest economy in the world.
It's not by the government, it's declared by the prince, which is actually the follow-up of the king. Right? So the government says, okay, you know, you want this king? Okay, we're going to pass it through. And I believe Khashoggi was against that whole project. And that's why he was offed, basically. So I spelled the name wrong. It's Khashoggi. There. Khashoggi. And Khashoggi also wrote for the Washington Post, I believe. So that's my research on that. You know, there's much to research on what really happened. What really happened to the Palestinian journalist, right, Shireen? What really happened to her? And why is the investigation of the death of Shireen being stalled? Right? Why is it being stalled? I want to know answers. You know, I, as a citizen of the world who's living in the Netherlands, want to know why Shireen Abu Akleh was killed. I want to know why Khashoggi was killed. All right? There are many other journalists like that one in Malta who died of a car bomb. Maltese journalist killed. There you go. What was she after? You know, what story did she want to give to the audience? It's all a matter of the court of public opinion, right? That's how Abraham Lincoln described it. So, what happened to her? We still don't have anything solid. What happened to her, right? What happened to that Rolling Stone guy, Michael Hastings? Michael Hastings. There you go. Car crash. Right, car crash. Yeah. You got to believe that, right? What happened to Michael Hastings? Crash footage. There you go. What happened to him? Was his car remotely controlled? I believe so, because the last thing he tweeted on Twitter was the FBI is chasing me. So what did Michael Hastings have? There are many other journalists that have died mysterious deaths, like the who was that guy that said that the CIA was dealing cocaine and heroin and stuff like that? What was his name? I kind of forgot. Oh well. Yeah, there are many other journalists that have died mysteriously. And I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened to these journalists, right? Frankie is going to go live at 8 o'clock, which is in 20 minutes. And so we got 20 minutes to fill. We're going to look at the FAD, right? Which is another political party. Here you have them, Forum for Democracy. And we have Gideon van Meijeren, right? Who's going to say that the government just wants land to build housing and stuff like that. So we're going to take a look at this here. Oh, go back a few seconds. There. Maybe even change the resolution, right? No subtitles, settings. There you go. Oh well, it's okay, I guess.
Dank u wel, mevrouw de voorzitter. Voorzitter, steeds meer Nederlanders zien dat het een grote leugen is dat het stikstofbeleid bedoeld is om de natuur te beschermen. En toegegeven, het is slim bedacht, want wie is er nou niet voor natuurbescherming? We houden allemaal van de natuur. En natuurlijk willen we allemaal dat ook toekomstige generaties kunnen genieten van de natuur. En vanzelfsprekend moeten we respectvol omgaan met de natuur en ons als een goed rentmeester opstellen. En het is juist daarom zo vals om te doen als die rampzalige stikstofmaatregelen noodzakelijk zouden zijn voor de natuur. Het is een propagandatechniek die aan de lopende band gebruikt wordt om impopulaire maatregelen te treffen die eigenlijk een hele andere agenda dienen. We zien het.
He's basically saying that the nitrogen thing that the cabinet has, is false, basically, and they use it as an item to scare people and stuff like that, scare them into submission, right?
Het rondom het coronabeleid. Een digitaal toegangsbewijs tot het sociaal-maatschappelijk leven zou noodzakelijk zijn om de volksgezondheid te beschermen. Want wie wil dat nou niet? We zien het rondom het klimaatbeleid. In één keer zouden een vliegtax en een vleestaks noodzakelijk zijn om de planeet te redden. Want wie wil dat nou niet? Het is pure manipulatie. Emotionele chantage, omdat men weet dat als men zegt wat men in werkelijkheid wil bereiken, de bevolking daar nooit mee in zou stemmen.
If they truly told what their plan was, the population would say no. That's what he's basically saying here.
En zo draait het stikstofbeleid in werkelijkheid niet om de natuur, maar om grond. Het is ordinaire grondpolitiek. Landjepik. Niets meer en niets minder. Het is over.
So there you have it. He also says the cabinet wants their land, the land of the farmers, so they can build more housing and stuff like that. It's very, very sad thing to see. But we are fighting for freedom. That's what we need. Freedom. I want to be free. I am Spartacus. I stand in front of this machinery and say no. I say no to all this crap. No. I showed you guys how the currency is debased, right? They make these Jubilean coins and stuff like that. And they say it's legal tender. You can pay with it. But the stores don't take it because I don't know why. So it's really, really sad thing to see. This is how they debased the currency. They inflate it with worthless money, basically. And people buy that crap, and think, hey, I can invest this in my bank account. No, you cannot, because the bank does not accept it. Even the Royal Mint, who presses these coins, does not accept it. So let's take a look at Charlie Veach. Let's see what he has to tell us. He looks angry in this video.
26 degrees, humid, muggy, very little wind. And after the sunshine comes the rain. But without further ado, where is my Coke? I need Coke. All I dream about all day is Coke. Let's get Coke up. Let's rack up some Coke. Where's the Coke? Where is the Coke? Ah! Here is the Coke. I got the Coke. Do you guys remember when you could get a Coke? You get a Coke for 20p back in the early 90s? 85p for a can of Coke? So had a chat with some parents. The double pram, and the big belly on the lady. They look like nice people, a lot younger than me, maybe late 20s, already with 3 kids, which is normal, I guess. And yeah, we just got chatting, and I was just thinking about, I lived in London for many years, 7.5 years I lived in central London, almost a decade. I did it, but then I wanted to have kids, and I think kids in London don't mix. Unless you're a royal, unless you're a billionaire Arab, unless you're a billionaire Russian. I'm not discriminating against all the other nationalities. I might have a billionaire Nigerian who is watching. What are you saying? Are you saying that a Nigerian cannot be a billionaire? Of course, Mr. Lagos, you can be a billionaire. But as my stereotypical, I guess, prejudiced view of London, it's billionaire Arabs and billionaire Russians. So I got chatting with the young people, and I was like, wow. Like, I think what it is in somewhere like Manchester, there's a bit more solidarity. People are nice to grannies around here, and it's rubbed off on me. I'm nice to grannies. I think, fucking hell, who can see a lonely granny and not give them a 5-minute chat? Doesn't take much, takes 5 minutes. But Manchester, the solidarity of the people, it's not always been easy. You look at the statistics for living in a city, any city, especially a working class city. The infant mortality, the adult mortality, the disease, you'd have to have like 7 children with the hope that one of them would get to adulthood without polio and rickets legs. Like, your one good kid would be like, or you'd have 10 kids, 2 of them would make it past 18 years old, and then they die of dysentery or typhus or whatever, one of these Victorian polio making a comeback. Man, the media winds me up. They've not found any infected people with polio. They've found traces of polio in sewer water. Fucking hell, like, you let sewer water brew, you could probably create life. You could get some dirty poop, shine some radiation on it, put it in a London sewer, keep it at a nice 33 degrees centigrade Celsius degrade, keep it at 33 degrees Celsius degrade, and you probably have a genesis of life, Which got me thinking, life, is the Google AI sentient? That bioethicist, well, he fucked up, didn't he? Google hired him, and Google got too much money, not enough sense. It's ultra on the message, change the world. Oh, that reminds me. Shit. I should post it as a story, but we're in the middle of a video. I'll just post it to you guys. Oh yeah, okay, so you won't be able to see it, but, you get the idea. The graph along the bottom, is that the x-axis? Is years from... I fucked it, you're not going to see... Okay, I'll show you, but you're not going to see it. Shows you the New York Times, how they've, since 2010, they don't mention these, these message buzzwords, like gender discrimination, patriarchy, transphobia, anti-gay, homophobic, and you can see the graph, the gray area is from 2010 onwards. So homophobic, 70s no mentions, 90s a little bit, 90s, noughties, early, and then all of a sudden 2010. Basically, I have a theory that's quite mainstream. Oh, no, don't look at that, that's my bank account. I have a theory. BlackRock, the big investment company, they're a fucking hedge fund mixed with a merchant bank, mixed with a fucking institution in itself. It's a fucking nation of... BlackRock gives brownie points. They should really give Blackie points, because it's BlackRock. BlackRock, the big investment company, gives brownie points if you promote LGTV4K or racial issues. And
there's also Vanguard, right? Vanguard and BlackRock investment companies. Vanguard, there you go. Vanguard. They're investment companies. You also have BlackRock. BlackRock, there you go. BlackRock is an American multinational investment management corporation based in New York City, founded in 1988, initially at a risk, blah, 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 blah. You can read it, you know. Just do your research, people. And Vanguard and BlackRock, they control the world, basically. They have all these corporations in their hands. So it's almost 8 o'clock, and we're trying to reach Frankie. And I hope he's awake, because he is supposed to go live in a few minutes. So, BlackRock and Vanguard, and we showed you how people in power debased the currency and stuff like that. You know, we even showed Zimbabwe and explained that for quite a bit. So, let's see who is watching on YouTube. It's always interesting, right? This is quite cool, you know. The whole world can watch. There's one watching. That's good. That's good. Even though there can be more watching. But most people watching are on Facebook, I guess, because they don't really know yet that I'm also on YouTube. So you can look that up. All right. Let's take a look at Al Jazeera, because there's also a lot happening internationally before we go. And let's see, videos. I believe there was an earthquake in Afghanistan. A lot of people have died. Right? It's very hard to get there. And let's take a look at this here.
Even at night, the search for the missing continued in eastern Afghanistan. It's a race against time before the rescue operation turns into recovery of the dead. They're using bare hands and shovels to free those buried under the rubble in the remote villages of Host and Paktika provinces. People were in bed when hundreds of homes and buildings were destroyed by the powerful earthquake.
I was sleeping and I felt a strong tremor. The roof fell on us. I hardly got out of the house, and when I looked back, I saw my wife and daughter under the rubble. In the next room, my nephew, his wife and his daughter, they died. I lost everything in the blink of an eye.
As the scale of the devastation becomes clearer, Afghanistan's current leaders are realizing the challenges in providing relief and shelter for the displaced. Roads were already in disrepair, and now they're blocked or destroyed by ensuing landslides after the quake.
Afghanistan, with its various agencies and ministries, launched a joint operation to assist the injured and dispatched specialized teams by helicopter to provide medical assistance. An emergency meeting was held by the Prime Minister, and it was decided to provide urgent financial aid for compensation. The Prime Minister appealed to foreign agencies and organizations to assist the Afghani people in these difficult circumstances.
Afghanistan is already facing a humanitarian disaster. Most international aid dried up and foreign staff were pulled out when the Taliban took over last year. The government, which calls itself the Islamic Emirate, accuses world powers of callous behavior for freezing assets and stopping aid for millions of Afghans.
As UN, we do not have, our teams do not have a specific equipment to take people from under the rubble. This has to rely mostly on the efforts of the de facto authorities. At least $15 million will be required immediately.
International and regional help will be crucial, as it will likely take months and years to recover from the devastation. Afghans who feel abandoned and let down by the international community say all they can do is pray for for both the dead and those who survived.
We also pray for you, Afghanistan. It's a very, very hard situation that you're in. You know, we don't like the Taliban, and we've been fighting them for 20 odd years, and we left you guys to those butchers, and very, very sad circumstances in Afghanistan, and yeah, we'll leave you guys with that. Enough information, and we'll take a look at where it happened, somewhere in the east, I believe, right? Afghanistan quake. Afghanistan quake. There you go. Magnitude 5.9 earthquake in 30 kilometers from Dadakel. Yeah. So it's quite near Pakistan too. Banu. Let's take a look. Banu. This is Pakistan, but it's near Banu, right? So it's here somewhere, coast area, right? Dadakel. Let's take a look. Pakistan. It's also Pakistan. Okay. So there you have Dadakel. It's very good for your geography. If you have, if you're playing a game and Dadakel, you know, people ask where that is. It's in Pakistan. Now you know. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for sharing. That's also very important. And we are informing people on what's happening in the Netherlands and around the world. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, or otherwise another day. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And we'll see each other again. Bye-bye.